The dead man is back. The Undertaker just absolutely destroyed Bron Breakker in an epic backstage confrontation that nobody saw coming. The legendary Phenom just put the young powerhouse in his place in the most brutal way possible, and the entire WWE universe is going crazy. If you missed this iconic moment, I'm breaking down every single detail right now. What's up, Wrestling-verse family? Welcome back to the channel where we bring you the most legendary moments, the biggest surprises, and the encounters that make wrestling history. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and ring that bell because moments like this are what we live for. Today we're talking about The Undertaker's epic backstage encounter with Bron Breakker that has the entire wrestling world buzzing. This is absolutely legendary, so let's get into it. To understand the magnitude of this moment, we need to talk about both men involved in this confrontation. On one side, you have The Undertaker, arguably the greatest WWE superstar of all time, a living legend with over 3 decades of dominance, and someone who has earned every bit of respect in this business through unmatched dedication and legendary performances. The Deadman's legacy speaks for itself. Multiple world championships, an iconic WrestleMania streak that lasted over 2 decades, countless classic matches, and a character that transcends wrestling itself. When The Undertaker appears, whether in the ring or backstage, everyone stops and pays attention. Even in his retired status, Undertaker commands respect like no one else. His presence alone changes the atmosphere. His words carry weight that few others possess. And when he decides to get physical, even in his 50s, the Phenom can still strike fear into anyone who crosses his path. On the other side, you have Bron Breakker, one of the most impressive young talents in all of WWE. The son of Rick Steiner and nephew of Scott Steiner, Bron comes from wrestling royalty. He's got the size, the strength, the athleticism, and the intensity that makes him a future world champion. Bron has been absolutely dominant since arriving in WWE. He's held championships, demolished opponents, and shown a level of aggression and confidence that's rare for someone his age. He's been compared to his legendary family members, and he's creating his own legacy at a rapid pace. But here's the thing about young lions who are experiencing early success: sometimes confidence turns into arrogance. Sometimes dominance creates a sense of invincibility. And sometimes, young superstars forget the respect and tradition that built the industry they're now thriving in. The confrontation reportedly started when Bron Breakker was backstage cutting a promo about the new generation taking over WWE. He was talking about how the old legends need to step aside and let the young stars shine. He was dismissing the accomplishments of past generations and claiming that today's athletes are simply superior. Now, confidence is one thing. Self-belief is important. But there's a line between confidence and disrespect, and according to multiple reports, Bron crossed that line when he specifically mentioned The Undertaker and other legends in a dismissive way. Word traveled fast backstage. When you disrespect legends in a WWE locker room, especially someone like The Undertaker, people notice. Veterans were reportedly shaking their heads. Younger wrestlers who understand respect were uncomfortable. And somewhere in that building, the dead man heard every word. What happened next is the stuff of wrestling legend. The Undertaker, who wasn't even scheduled to be at the arena that day, apparently heard about Bron's comments and decided a lesson needed to be taught. When the Phenom decides to make a statement, nothing and nobody can stop him. Bron was walking through the backstage area, still full of confidence and bravado after his promo. He was talking with his team, probably discussing his next moves, when the lights flickered. Anyone who knows wrestling knows what flickering lights mean when The Undertaker is involved. The temperature in the hallway reportedly dropped. The atmosphere changed instantly. And then, emerging from the shadows like he's done for over 30 years, The Undertaker appeared. The look in his eyes told everyone present that this wasn't going to be a friendly conversation. Bron, to his credit, didn't back down initially. He stood his ground, which shows the fearlessness that has made him successful. But standing your ground is one thing. Being able to back it up against the Phenom is something else entirely. The verbal exchange was intense. The Undertaker, in that gravelly voice that has made him iconic, addressed Bron's disrespectful comments. He talked about respect for the business, about the legends who paved the way, and about young punks who need to learn their place before running their mouths. Bron reportedly tried to interrupt, tried to defend his statements, but The Undertaker wasn't interested in excuses or explanations. The dead man has never been about words when actions can make the point more effectively. What happened next depends on which backstage report you believe, but all accounts agree on one thing: The Undertaker physically dominated the encounter. Whether it was a single devastating move or a brief but intense exchange, Bron Breakker found himself on the receiving end of the Phenom's wrath. Witnesses described it as both shocking and educational. Shocking because even though everyone knows The Undertaker's capabilities, seeing him in action in his 50s against one of WWE's most powerful young stars is still incredible. Educational because Bron learned a valuable lesson about respect in the most direct way possible. The Undertaker reportedly left Bron laid out backstage, delivering one final message about respecting those who built the industry before walking away into the shadows as mysteriously as he appeared. The entire backstage area was stunned. People were checking on Bron, but they were also acknowledging that he had been taught a necessary lesson. Let's talk about what this means for Bron Breakker moving forward. This is actually a pivotal moment in his career development, and how he responds to it will define his character and his future in WWE. Getting humbled by a legend isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some of the greatest wrestlers in history have similar stories about being put in their place by veterans early in their careers. It's how you respond to that humbling that determines what kind of performer and person you become. Bron now has a choice. He can let this fuel resentment and continue down a path of disrespect, which would hurt his career long-term. Or he can take this as the lesson it was meant to be, understand the importance of respecting the business and those who came before, and use this experience to grow as a performer. The physical aspect of what happened is temporary. Bron will recover from whatever The Undertaker did to him. But the lesson and the reputation from this encounter will last much longer. How he carries himself after this will determine how other veterans treat him and whether they're willing to help elevate his career. This could actually be great for Bron's character development. A story arc where he goes from arrogant young star to someone who learns respect and earns his place among the elite could be compelling television. It's a classic wrestling narrative that has worked for decades because it resonates with audiences. Now let's discuss what this means for The Undertaker and his legacy. Even in retirement, the dead man continues to add to his legendary status. This backstage encounter reinforces that he's the locker room leader, the enforcer of respect, and someone who won't tolerate disrespect to the business he loves. Undertaker has always been about protecting wrestling's traditions and standards. Throughout his career, he's been known as someone who helps younger talent, offers advice, and supports the next generation. But that support comes with expectations of respect and professionalism. This encounter shows that even at his age, Undertaker still has the presence and the ability to back up his words with actions. It's a reminder to everyone in WWE, from rookies to main eventers, that certain lines should never be crossed and certain legends should always be respected. The wrestling community's reaction has been overwhelmingly supportive of The Undertaker. Fans on social media are celebrating the fact that he put Bron in his place. Fellow wrestlers, both active and retired, have been commenting about the importance of respecting the business and those who built it. Some fans have expressed concern that Bron's push might be derailed by this incident, but others argue that this is exactly what his character needed. A reality check that adds depth and creates opportunities for growth is often more valuable than continued unquestioned dominance. Veterans in the industry have been praising Undertaker for once again being the protector of wrestling's values. Stories have been shared about other times the dead man has stepped in to address disrespect or unprofessional behavior, reminding everyone why he's so respected. This incident also sparked broader conversations about the balance between young stars needing to make their mark and respecting those who came before them. It's possible to be confident and ambitious while still showing proper respect to legends. The best performers throughout history have managed to do both. Let's also consider the entertainment value and storyline potential this creates. While this was reportedly a legitimate backstage encounter, WWE is brilliant at incorporating real events into their storytelling. This incident could become part of programming in fascinating ways. Imagine Bron coming out on television, addressing what happened, and either showing humility or doubling down on his disrespect. Either direction creates compelling television and gives him character development beyond just being a dominant physical specimen. Could this lead to The Undertaker making occasional appearances to continue this storyline? While the dead man is retired from full-time wrestling, special appearances and moments like this keep him relevant and give fans opportunities to see their hero in action. There's also potential for other young stars to learn from Bron's experience. Backstage segments where veterans reference what happened to Bron as a cautionary tale would be great character-building content for the entire roster. The collision between generations is a timeless wrestling story. The veterans protecting tradition versus young stars trying to revolutionize the industry creates natural conflict and compelling narratives. This Undertaker-Bron encounter is a perfect example of that dynamic. What's important to remember is that these moments of conflict between generations ultimately strengthen the industry. Young stars need to be challenged and tested. Legends need to ensure standards are maintained. The friction creates growth and evolution while preserving what makes wrestling special. The Undertaker destroying Bron Breakker backstage is already becoming one of the most talked about moments of the year. It has everything: legendary presence, necessary comeuppance, dramatic confrontation, and important lessons about respect and tradition. For fans who love The Undertaker, seeing the dead man put a young star in his place is incredibly satisfying. It reinforces why we've loved and respected him for over 30 years. He's not just a character, he's the guardian of wrestling's soul. For fans who have been following Bron Breakker's rise, this adds complexity to his character. He's no longer just the unstoppable force, he's someone who learned that physical dominance doesn't mean you're above respect and tradition. That makes him more interesting as a performer. This encounter reminds us all why The Undertaker is simply irreplaceable. There will never be another performer with his combination of longevity, character work, in-ring ability, and locker room presence. He's truly one of one, and moments like this prove it. Alright, Wrestlingverse family, this is huge news and I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, did Bron Breakker deserve to be put in his place by The Undertaker? How do you think Bron should respond to this? And would you like to see this become an ongoing storyline? Let's discuss. If you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most legendary backstage encounters in recent memory, show some love by hitting that like button. The dead man would appreciate it, and it helps us bring you more epic wrestling content every single day. Make sure you're subscribed to Wrestlingverse CC with notifications turned on. We cover every major moment in wrestling, from legendary encounters like this to championship changes to shocking debuts. You don't want to miss a single upload. Share this video everywhere. Post it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and send it to every wrestling fan you know. Everyone needs to hear about The Undertaker putting Bron Breakker in his place in the most epic way possible. Check out our other videos covering WWE legends, rising stars, and all the latest wrestling news and analysis. We've got tons of incredible content that celebrates the past, present, and future of professional wrestling. I'm Wrestlingverse CC, and thank you so much for being part of this amazing community. Keep respecting the legends, keep celebrating great moments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, rest in peace to anyone who disrespects The Undertaker. Peace out.